Yeah, what was the topic that we discussed in the last session? This is the last and final demo for you. Can you please tell me?
We discussed the concepts like region, availability zone, and edge.
Region, availability zone, geolocations, and we discussed about the IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud. These are the concepts that we have discussed in the last session. In this session, what we are going to do is this is the last demo for you guys. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the concepts related to IAM. So for you, it might be a demo. For me, it is the starting of your sessions itself. So let's start with the concept. So what is this IAM? Okay, before I go into the topic of IAM, did all of you got the AWS accounts? And okay, no, I won't go with the IAM right now. I will go with the concept of what I can say Linux and networking concept, and then we will go ahead into the IAM when you join into the main session. Why? Because some people might have to create the AWS account. Some people might have in an unstable condition that you might be thinking to join or not. So I don't want to bother you on that. So yeah. So what we are going to discuss here is in general. Actually, I have a thing to discuss with you, but I will tell you about this in the next half an hour. After an half an hour, I will tell you. The point is, first and foremost thing, we need to have a knowledge on networking. Okay, why we need to have the knowledge on networking? The basic rule is that so in AWS, what we are going to do, we will be creating the infrastructure. So infrastructure, when we want to create the when we want to create the infrastructure, definitely first of all, what we need to have we need to have an isolated network. Okay, so why we need to have an isolated network? Think like this. For example, there is a public cloud. Okay, if you see this is the public cloud. So that nothing but AWS environment. So in this AWS environment, you will be having so many different companies will be creating their infrastructure. So for example, they might be creating there is a company called as Swiggy. Okay, so this company will be creating their entire infrastructure in the AWS. Okay, and as well as there is another company called as Zomato. Okay, they also want to create their account in AWS. And there is one more company called as what else I can call, for example, Google Pay is there. So they have their servers inside this company. Not Google Pay. Let us take Hotstar is there. Hotstar is having their complete infrastructure in the AWS environment. Okay. And then we are having one more company called as Netflix is there. Netflix or Amazon Prime is there. So they also have their infrastructure in the AWS environment. Now the point is, if all the servers, if each and every server, every company will have their own infrastructure in the AWS environment. When they are having their infrastructure in the environment, so what we have to do, we need to set up a boundary. Okay, how we are going to set up the boundary, saying that this particular network belongs to me, or else this particular set of servers belongs to this particular company. This particular set of servers belongs to this particular company. How we are going to decide that means depending on the networking concept. So can divide the a network can divide them. What I can say can be behaving like a boundary for a company or else for a set of resources. Okay, so that's why whenever we are working with the AWS environment, especially with the cloud environment, we need to understand about a topic called as VPC. So we need to understand a topic called as VPC. What is meant by VPC? VPC means virtual private cloud. Anyways, we will discuss about this virtual private cloud after the completion of IAM. But right now, you need to understand the networking concept. Now, what is this VPC? VPC is a isolated boundary for creating the company's infrastructure. So, if I am having some there is a company, for example, there is an IT company. So in the IT company, they are having their deployments. Every deployment will be they are doing on the AWS environment only. For example, again, I'm going with the very basic concept over here. So this is the IT company where there are certain non-IT clients are there for this company. So for example, let me take a travel agency is there. So they came to this IT company and requested the IT company for creating an application. And so this travel agency doesn't know anything about the softwares or backend or frontend. So they just said that I want to create an, I mean, can you please provide an application? Please let me know how much cost it will be. So now what this IT company will do here is, okay, we will create an application for you. So they are having an AWS account. So in the AWS account, they are going to create the servers. Okay, in the AWS account, they are going to create the servers for this company. So this is some what I can say ABC Travels. Okay, ABC Travels is the company name. So they are going to create their entire application inside this server. Or else not only single server, they will have multiple servers. I am just representing like this. They install their application inside the server, and there will be backend, there will be front end, there will be databases, API gateways like that. There are so many other concepts that are there for to run an application. So now I have a server here. Now there is an another travels company is there. There is another travels company is there, and they also approached the same IT company for creating their own application. So they also tied up with the same company. So the company said that okay, we will create it, and the cost will be this much amount. They said that, and they have explained you that we already have this ABC Travels in our company. I mean, we are associated with this ABC Travels, and if you are interested, you can also. We will just give you a demo of that particular application. If you want your application in the same format, we can ready it and we can deploy it in this particular amount of time. So there will be SLAs, there will be POCs, lot of things will happen between the client and the IT company. Finally, once they have accepted it, so the same, for XYZ also, for XYZ Travels also, they are going to create a server and they will be running the application inside their server. But now if you see here, where the servers are created, both the servers are created in the AWS account only. When both servers are created in the same AWS account, now we don't have any boundary here. Just for example, if I am having two servers in my company, okay, whether there will be a chance that the data transmission can happen or not, whether there will be any chance that they can communicate or not. Communicate in the sense we can tie up with the networking cable. If we provide the IP address in the same range, then there is a chance that both the computers can communicate with each other, or else both the servers can communicate. If anybody is there who is not that much reliable, so he can transfer the data of one company to the another company. So I don't want that to happen. Okay. So later there are something else, but what is going to happen in the sense? So this kind of situation I want to remove from this public cloud. So for that, what I am going to do here is here I am going to create an infrastructure, or else here I am going to create a boundary, networking boundary, and that network boundary is called as VPC. So inside the VPC, I can create my servers and I can run the servers. So whichever the VPC that I have created, I am creating two different VPCs. So this is my ABC VPC and this is my XYZ VPC. So in ABC VPC, all the infrastructure related to ABC Travels will be there, and in XYZ VPC, there will be all the infrastructure related to XYZ will be there. By defaultly, even though both the VPCs are created in the same AWS account, they will not communicate. The name itself is saying that VPC. What is meant by VPC? So if you see here, the full form of VPC is Virtual Private Cloud. Okay, Virtual Private Cloud. So just forget about virtual. So you are having the private cloud. Private cloud in the sense each company will have if each company is having their own infrastructure, then that is called as a private cloud. Here also it is a virtual private cloud. Now how they are dividing that resources? So they are dividing the resources depending on the network. Okay. So for that reason, you definitely need to understand about the networking concept. What is meant by networking and how we are going, how two servers will be able to communicate with each other. in general, how a user from the internet will be able to access a server. So I will ask you a very small question for you. So for example, you are sitting in your home. If you want to watch any movie, or else if you want to watch a YouTube video, so now what you are going to do in your computer, you will be typing. What is the URL that you will type? You will type youtube.com. Then what is going to happen? Did anybody know about the background process? What will happen here? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Did anybody know what is going to happen when you give the URL? Obviously, you are going to get all the videos and all things. But what happens in the background? Okay. Now, see, if you want, let me take another example here. You have a mobile phone and your friend is also having a mobile phone. If you want to communicate from your mobile phone to your friend's mobile phone, what you have to do first? It's not a technical question, it's a general question. You and your friend wants to talk to each other. Now what has to be done to establish that connection or else to establish the communication? Tell me, guys.
We
Are you
need to
there?
have the network, and we need to call to the friend.
You need to have a network. You will have the network, you will have the phones, but if you don't have your friend's mobile number, then what you will do? Are you able to communicate with your friend or else with any another person also? It is not possible. So in the same manner, here also, if one computer or else if a client computer wants to communicate with any network, it should have an IP address. Just like the phone number, every device should have an IP address. If you see in your computer or else in your mobile phone anywhere, if you are accessing the internet means all those devices will have the IP address. So what is this network? First of all, let us understand what is network and then we will come back to the networking and then we will understand the basic concept of IP addressing and what are the different types of IP addresses that we will have. And I will wind up. So today's session won't be very prolonged session, just a basic session. Because of some internal issue. I mean, I have a small problem. I'll let you know at the end of the session. So I have to talk to you. Then we will discuss. Excuse me. So what is meant by network? Network means connecting two or more devices through a cable. So cable or else I will call it as a media. Media means either it might be a wide media or wireless media. So either if you communicate with connect from one computer to the another computer, you can connect through the cables or else you can connect through the wireless Wi-Fi also. Then that is called as network. Okay, connecting two or more devices is called as network. But now what is meant by networking? Okay, so network is a noun, networking is a verb. So I don't want to talk about English here. But what verbs will do? What verbs will be doing? Hmm. Oh God. Okay. So if we establish the communication between the devices, if we transfer the data between the devices, then that is called as networking. Okay. Transferring the data between the devices is called as networking. Okay. Can you please respond to my questions? I am not asking any technical questions here. In the first day itself, I said you, if you are unable to talk to the faculty, I'm not going to ask you very big questions. I will be asking you general questions. So if you are wrong also, no problem. Nobody is going to judge you. Why? Because at least you have said something. The other person is not even open his or her mouth. So you will be better than someone who didn't say the answer. Even though they know the answer, they did not open the answer. Why? Because they are not sure about that. Which means they have the doubt in their. I mean, they are not confident enough to talk. Okay. So please try to talk. Why? Because tomorrow when you go for an interview, if someone asks you a question, you should not sit calmly. Okay. So if your manager asks you a question, will you sit in the same manner? If you don't communicate, please don't attend the session. I don't have any problem. If you are able to talk, please attend the session. If you are able to communicate, please attend the session. Anyways, coming back to the point, the next one is we need to understand about the nodes and the host. Okay, nodes means any devices which are having the IP address, which may or may not have an IP address, which may or may not have an IP address. Okay, in the network is called as a node. And any device that is having the IP address is called as a host. Any device that definitely will have an IP address is called as the device which have an IP address is called as host. So these are the two things that you need to understand. So if your laptop is there, your laptop can be called as a node or host. Why? Because it will have the IP address. If you have a desktop can be called as a node or a host. If you want to call it as a host, it can be called. But if there is a switch is there, networking switches are there. Networking switches are called as nodes. Why? Because switches won't have the IP addresses. Hub will be there. Networking hub will be there. Hub will not have any IP addresses. So it is also called as node only. So the devices which are having the IP addresses is called as host, and any device that may or may not have an IP address is called as a node. Now, in networking, we are talking about the IP addresses. So what is this IP address? IP address is a very crucial and logical address to establish the communication between the devices. If I am having two computers, two or more computers are there. If I want to transfer the data between one computer to the another computer, definitely I need to have the IP address. Without the IP address, the data communication will not happen. Simply, if I have to say, just like the mobile number. So if you have you have your mobile number, okay, when you want to call your friend, you need to have your friend's mobile number. Otherwise, you will be not able to call your friend. So that is what that is how important is IP address also. If I want to transfer the data between one computer to the another computer, then definitely I need to have, the devices should have the IP address. So this is the concept of IP address. Okay. So there will be two types of IP addresses are there. Okay. There are so many another things, but I don't want to go in detail about that. In the upcoming sessions, we'll discuss. There are two types of IP addresses. One is public IP and the other one is private IP. Now, what is meant by public IP? What is meant by private IP? So public IP means any device, if it wants to communicate, if the IP address is able to communicate with the internet, then that is called as a public IP. For example, have you ever watched? Is there any router is present in your home? Do you have any router in your home? Wi-Fi router. Do you have any Wi-Fi router in your home?
Yes.
When you are having the Wi-Fi router, so this is your home environment. When you connect to this Wi-Fi router, okay, so here you will have all your laptops. Okay, you have your laptop, desktop, or mobile phones. Can you please check your IP address? Can you please check the IP address in your computer? So when I check the IP address in my computer, I click config. So the IP address of my computer is 192.168.0.106. So this is the IP address of my computer. So I have an IP address that is 192.168.0.106. Okay, this is my computer IP. If you check from your end, have you checked your IP address? I'm not going to ask it, but have you checked it? Just give the command ipconfig. So here you can see there will be an IP address. Have you checked the IP address?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when you check the IP address, please answer. Okay, go to your browser. Okay, go to your browser and check what is my IP. If you see, when you check in the internet, there will be a different IP address. I don't want to show it out. So there will be a different IP addresses. So if you check in your browser also, check it out what is my IP. You will have a different number. The IP address which is not assigned, which is assigned to your computer, will not be displayed on the internet. So the internet is going to show you a different IP address. Have you checked it? Go to Google Chrome, type what is my IP address. It will open a website. In the website, you can check there is an IP address. So the IP address is your
Yeah,
public IP address. So that is a
yeah,
different IP
actually it is
address. No?
different. Yes, yes, it is different actually.
For your computer, you will have a one IP address. When you go for an internet and check it out, it will be different IP address. Why it is different IP address? The reason is within in your home. So whatever the communication is happening, the communication will happen. I will make it as a different color gradient here. So within your home, whatever the communication is happening, the communication will happen between the two computers over the private IP. So whatever the IP address that is assigned to your computer or else you are seeing on your command prompt, that's a private IP. That is a private IP. Okay. Private, the name itself says that private means within the home or else within the LAN or else within the organization. And whatever the IP address that you are seeing, so when you see your router, you will find a ports will be there. Okay, if you turn backside of your router, you can find the ports will be there where the ISP, Internet Service Provider, is going to connect the cable to your router. Okay, at one port, he will be connecting the cable to your router. And that cable or else that port is called as WAN port. Okay, that port is called as WAN port. WAN means wide area network. Okay, so this WAN port will have the public IP. It will have the public IP. Now, that is the IP address which you are seeing on the browser. Whatever the IP address that is assigned to your WAN port, then whenever you search in the internet, whatever the IP address that you are seeing, that is the public IP. So if your computer wants to communicate with the internet, so the private IPs will not be helpful. Only the public IPs will be helpful to communicate. So that is the reason if there is any disconnection in your LAN cable or WAN cable or else if there is any problem with the internet service provider, this IP address will not be this will not be produced. So when this IP address is not generated, so the communication from the private IP or else from your computer will reach out to your router, but it will not go outside onto the internet. Why? Because this IP address is not there. So as you don't have the public IP, you will be not able to communicate with the internet. So that is what we call it as a public IP. Now here you can see there is a private IP is there and there is a public IP. In between, we are having the router. So whenever you request any data, for example, I request aws.amazon.com. So my request has been, so from my computer, it reached to my router. Okay, from my computer, it reached to my router. So with the private IP, my computer IP is a private IP, it will reach out to the router. So inside the router, you will have a mechanism called as NAT. You will have a mechanism called as NAT. NAT means network address translation. Network address translation. So which means that which is going to translate the private IP into the public IP and it will send into the internet. So without the NAT, this private IP will not be converted as a public IP. So this is how it is going to work. Now, okay, why we want the private IP? Why can't we go with the public IP? For my computers also, I can assign with the public IP. No, why we need to have the private IP? In companies also, if you go in any office, you can see only the private IPs will be there for your computers. They won't assign the public IP. Any company, if you see any company, internally you will have the private IP only. You won't have the public IP. Why? What is the reason behind that? So the reason is very simple. When I talk about the IP addresses, again there are two types of IP addresses depending on the origin. One is IPv4 and the other one is IPv6. IPv4 IP address will be there and IPv6 IP address will be there. So IPv4 is a 32-bit address. IPv4 is a 32-bit address and IPv6 is a 128-bit address. IPv6 is a 128-bit address. Okay, so now why it is 32-bit? Because did anybody is from ECE background, electronics and communication, or all are from the CSE background only? Any ECE people? Did it have anyone who has completed engineering in Andhra Pradesh, Andhra or Telangana, any Telugu states? Okay, so everyone are from the outside only. What about you, Sai? Sai, Satish, Srikanth?
I'm from Telangana only, but it's my MCA actually.
MCA. Okay.
Yeah.
Did anybody is from the BTech background? So that have you ever did an EDC practicals? Actually, I'm from the electrical and electronics background, triple E background, but that's okay. So if you see, there is a in 1980s, if you see the microprocessors are 32-bit compatible processors are there, 1980s and 1990s. Nowadays, when the Intel has came, they have introduced, Intel introduced 64-bit processor and 128-bit processors are introduced. But if you see in the good olden days, we used to have only 32-bit processors are there. So to process that IP address, so when we transfer the data from the source to the destination server should understand from where the data is coming. So if it has to understand, the processor has to process that IP address. To process the IP address, because of that reason, we are providing it as a 32-bit address. Now, nowadays, we are having 128-bit processors, so the IPv6 is of 128-bit. So if you see here, 32-bit processor, which means that total how many IPs you are going to get here is 2 to the power of 32. 2 power 32 means 4.2 billion IP addresses only you are going to get. In IPv4, you are going to get only 4.2 billion. 4.2 billion means 420 crores. If you see in the world, how many people, what is the current population of complete world? The current population is 850 crores. So when it is 850 crores, how many IP addresses are generated by IPv4? IPv4 is generating only 400 crores of IPs. Among those 400 crores also, we are going to use up to 300 crores or somewhere like that. So if you see, if I provide the public IP to each and every people, or else each and every person, if I provide a public IP, or else each and every device, if I provide a public IP, just to understand, can anybody tell me how many devices that you are having for you? So I am having my laptop, two mobile phones, and a desktop, and then smart TV, smart TV, smart watches. There are so many other things out there. So nowadays we have got this smart AC, smart refrigerators. Everything is becoming smart. When they are becoming smart, they need to have the network connections. What is happening means we have an AI, artificial intelligence. If we just give a command, automatically the air condition will start. If I just give a command, the geyser will start. If I just give a command, just I have to say only one word: start my PC. The PC will be started. So everything is becoming the smart. When everything is becoming smart, each and every device requires an IP address. When each and every device requires an IP address, in my home itself, I want some 20 to 30 IPs. If I want some 20 to 30 IPs for in my home, only for my home, then what about the all over the world, all over the world, and as well as all over the companies which you are having so many thousands and thousands of computers. So if you calculate like that, the IP addresses will not sufficient for India itself. In India itself, the IP addresses will not be sufficient. Then how we are going to provide to the rest of the world? How networking people will provide the IP addresses to the rest of the world? So because of this reason, there is an company called as IANA. IANA. In general, we'll call it as IANA, but IANA, Internet Assigned Number Authority. They are the one who is providing the IP addresses to the entire world, who will be dividing the IP addresses for each and every region. Not the region that you are thinking of AWS. It is a different thing. Networking terms region it is. So IANA is an organization who will provide the IP address. So they thought that because of this scarcity, we have to go with an private IP. So they developed the private IPs. So when they developed the private IP, they said one thing. So within the company or else within your home, for example, this is my home. Inside my home, I am using 192.168.1.0/24. What is the slash value? We'll discuss it later. So this is my home network. Okay. So inside my home network, I have a router. Okay. If there is another home also, you can have the same IP address range. If you have same IP address range also, the what I can say, the conflict will not happen. Why? Because this IP address range is within the home only. When the request is coming outside, the request will be coming through the public IP. When the request is coming through the public IP, then there won't be any what I can say, conflict won't be there. Simply, if I have to say, in my home, my name is Chaitanya, or else someone call me with another pet name. Okay, so Chaitanya, everyone will call me Chaitanya, or else someone will call me some X name. So that X is there. Okay, so X name is there. In besides my home also, there is another person or else another guy who is having the name Chaitanya only, but he will be called with the same pet name. Okay, so the same X name, he will be called with the same pet name. So in my home and in their home, that is the confusion which we are facing, but that's okay. So the point is, within the home, we will have the same pet names. But when we are coming outside of the home, we have our unique name. So Chaitanya will be common, but in front of that, there will be a surname. Surname will be unique. So if surname is also the same, that is another thing. But the point is, when you come outside of your home, you will have a unique identification. So this Chaitanya and that Chaitanya, like that, you will have a different identification also will be there. So when you come outside of the private location, you will have a unique address. So in the same manner, within the home, you might be having same IP address range. But whenever the data traffic is going into the internet, it will have a unique public IP. So I can have a very big company also. So the company will be having the same IP address range. It is also going to have the same IP address range. But what will happen whenever the data traffic is going outside of the company, it will be landing onto a unique public IP address. So the public IP is unique. Okay. So this is the concept of your private and public IP addresses. So private IP addresses will be in three ranges. If you see in your company or else in your home or else in your hostel, anywhere, if you check your IP address, like IP config. So here I got 192.168 now. In the same manner, in your laptop or else in your desktop also, whenever you check the IP config, you will be getting in between these three ranges only. One is 10.1. Or sorry, 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255, 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255, 192.168.0.02, 192.168.255.255. These are the three ranges of private IP range. These are the three private IP ranges. So if you see in your company, when you go to your company or when you go to your office also, check out the IP address. So just to open your computer and type IP config, you will get the IP address in this range, in these three ranges only. Apart from these three ranges, if you get any another range, that is a public IP. It is defined by INA, not by me. Okay, so these are the private IPs and public IPs. So this is the basic concept of your networking, but we have a lots and lots of concepts to cover. We'll discuss about that in the upcoming session. Okay. As of now, here I will stop. And if you have any questions, you can ask me now. Today is the last demo. And yeah, from actually, I need to talk about that. Just give me a second. So, any questions? Okay.